There's a lot of nonsense about what Tantra is in the West. Mostly here, when you hear the word Tantra, people think that it's about sexual acrobatics and that if you go to a tantric workshop, you're just going to learn how to have better orgasms and how to please your partner. And this is a complete bastardization of what Tantra really is. The truth is that Tantra is yoga. It's a yogic philosophy. It's based a lot off of Hatha yoga, and if you've ever been to a Kundalini yoga class, then you'll understand a little bit of what Tantric yoga is about. So a lot of what people associate with that sexual energy and thinking that it's this perverted sexual thing, it's really not. Like, if you've ever heard of or been to a Kundalini yoga class, you'll understand that it's nothing really sexual about it. It's simply working with that root energy and learning how to raise it to your crown. Basically learning how to move from your lower self to your higher self. How to move from your animal self to your divine self. In a lot of ways, you can actually say that Tantra is transcending sexuality. It's moving beyond sex into spirituality. And sometimes that means going through it in order to reach that space. The reason so many people have created their own interpretations of Tantra is because it's so esoteric and a lost art and philosophy. Most of the texts have been burned and destroyed, so people have been forced to come up with their own interpretations. There are still a lot of remaining texts though, so if you wanted to get a taste of what Tantra is like, you can look up some texts like the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra or Mahanirvana Tantra or the Kaula Tantra, and just read through those passages and understand and get an essence of what the text is saying. It's really pretty crazy that in the West, Tantra has been turned into this completely different animal. People come up with these things like tantric massage and tantric workshops that are based on the sexual act, and it really has nothing to do with Tantra. You can say that a lot of the philosophy of Tantra is actually moving beyond sexuality to go into spirituality. A lot of the stuff that I talk about, like the surrender intention, it's a way to utilize your sexual energy in a more higher productive way. A lot of the exercises, the Kundalini exercises, the Tantric exercises are all about raising the energy from your root to your crown, and you're able to sustain this blissful energetic state, which a lot of people think is sexual, but it does not manifest as conventional sexuality is understood. It simply feels like blissful energy. There's no perversion or conventional sexuality to it. If you've ever been to a Kundalini yoga class, you'll understand there's nothing sexual about it. It's simply your root energy. Tantric yoga is very similar to Kundalini yoga. They come from the same original yogas, the Hatha yoga, the Raja yoga. Really, Tantra and Kundalini yoga are a synthesis of all the different yogas. The reason Tantra became associated with sex purely is because it's one of the first yogic paths to embrace the body, to embrace sexuality, and that's something that was so revolutionary for people that were used to so much suppression and asceticism that they thought that, you know, they just zeroed in on that fact and made it into a purely sexual thing, but it's really not. And a lot of teachers and gurus actually make fun of the Western interpretation of Tantra. They call it like California Tantra, you know, just like, it's really just a bastardization of what Tantra is really standing for. These things that you see like tantric massage and tantric workshops that are just based on the physical act, it's completely doing a disservice to what Tantra is about. It's the same like going to a yoga class and thinking that it's only a physical workout when really it's about the mind and the spirit. I encourage you, if you're interested in Tantra, to do some research, read some of the books that I've recommended, and understand if you are wanting to learn this for the right reasons. Because if you're looking for something simply as a form of sensual indulgence, you're gonna end up disappointed. This is all about transcending your sensual indulgences. It's all about raising to your higher chakras, raising into being your higher self, transmuting that energy, like Napoleon Hill speaks of. A lot of mystery schools and occult knowledge is actually derived from Tantra and from learning sexual transmutation, how to manipulate that energy, how to harvest and use your most potent energy in a different form than its beastly or animalistic manifestation. When you hear about sacred sex or sacred sexuality, a lot of that's actually derived from the Taoist sexual arts, and there's nothing wrong with these practices. They're useful in the sense that they at least allow people to learn their bodies and be comfortable with their sexuality, but Tantra has a completely different purpose. The essence of Tantra is simply learning to be, learning to exist, and allowing bliss to be your natural state, understanding how to transmute those energies and how to just be, how to go from the lower to the higher, how to integrate your masculine and feminine energies, how to work with the polarities, how to become integrated through embracing the darkness, embracing the light. Luckily, a lot of people have been coming out and explaining the truth about what Tantra really is. I know I've seen a few videos from Sadhguru and some other gurus who talk about Tantra and explaining that it has nothing to do with sex. There are sexual practices, and one of the grand rituals in Tantra is based on sexual union, but there's qualifications for reaching that stage. You have to be a fully cultivated person. You have to be doing it with complete unattachment with the right partner, and after you've already developed a certain level of spiritual understanding. Not all rituals or sexual union is meant to be practiced by just anybody, so there's a lot of things that the average person wouldn't understand about what Tantra really is unless they read about it and did some research. So if you're interested in this yogic path, read the books, do the research, and figure out if it's something that resonates with you and that you want to do it for the right reasons.